Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? We're very serious, and we have breaking news coming out of the Middle East. Very important, and of course, on this the morning after of the election, immediately there's already a shift going on, but there's other things happening in the Middle East urgent. Let me first put a shout out, if you don't mind, guys, for bhmd1.com/Paul. We've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. But now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lakey, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lakey has focused his attention away from the mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So that he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like photoshopping your face. What? Like me? You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years, even decades, off your appearance in 2 minutes. What? Yes, and in light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lakey has released a step-by-step video. You can watch it if you click on the link below this video to the public. It's free. It's uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. If this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, I'll be thrilled knowing that I helped, said Dr. Lakey. The video has gone viral. It's been seen over 3 million times. And so far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding. Are you serious? Thousands of women are reporting they look decades younger. Check it out. Go to bhmd1.com/Paul. That's bhmd1.com/Paul. You'll be glad that you did. Yes, you will. All right. Well, let me just tell you what's going on in the Middle East. It's an incredible situation. Get your tickets, guys. The webinar, Spiritual Warfare, is going to be a barn burner of information for such a time as this. That's for sure. Let me tell you what's happening. Breaking news in the Middle East. There has been an attack on Tel Aviv Airport, at Ben Gvir Airport. There has been an attack as a rocket hitting right next door to the airport. A very dangerous situation that has got everybody on edge in the Middle East. And according to reports, according to even to the Jerusalem Post, Israel should respond immediately, and they should target Lebanon's Beirut airport in retaliation for the hit right next to the Ben Gurion airport. According to reports, Israel, Cohen emphasized that such an action would clarify to Hezbollah the cost of its attacks and lead to international pressure on Lebanon. Israel should take a firm approach toward Lebanon, said Dr. Eddie Cohen, and respond, he said, and hit near this rocket that hit near the Ben Gurion airport. They should target Beirut's airport, according to reports coming out of the Middle East. Quote, Israel must shut down Beirut's airport, he said. We have full legitimacy to do so. International airlines can see the threat to the area of Ben Gurion Airport. It deters people from coming to the Holy Land. Hezbollah may continue trying to target this airport, he said. And if we don't respond, it could disrupt the regular air operations of the entire Middle East. It would affect Jordan. It would affect Egypt, Saudi Arabia, everybody, Israel, Kuwait, everybody. Hezbollah may continue to try to hit the airport We need to respond, he said. We need to do something. Now, Dr. Eddie Cohen emphasized that such an action would clarify to Hezbollah the cost of its attacks and lead to an international pressure on Lebanon. Cohen has noted that President Donald Trump's victory in the U.S. elections may grant Israel greater freedom of action in the Middle East, particularly against the Iranian threat. According to him, Trump adopted a firm approach towards Iran and has designated the Houthis as a terrorist organization, while Biden came in and erased that. The Democrats in the United States have done harm and have sown harm in the Middle East, according to Dr. Eddie Cohen in Israel. Cohen expressed hope that Trump would return to his tough stance on Iran and resignate economic sanctions and even support Israel in action against the Iranian nuclear program. Trump was always proactive. He took a more aggressive approach toward Iran, and I believe he will resonate and reinstate the sanctions and support us if we choose to target Iran's nuclear project. Now, Eddie Cohen noted that there is a widespread support for Trump throughout Israel and his tough approach in the Arab world, especially among the Gulf states that all fear Iran. In other words, Trump has great respect by the Saudi Arabians, by Kuwait, by Qatar, by the United Arab Emirates, by Egypt, by Jordan, of course, Israel, and that entire Sunni Islamic world, because the radical Shiites of Iran and Iraq and the Taliban that's in Afghanistan and the radical Shiites under al-Bashir, of Syria. And, these guys are all part of the radical Shiite Muslims compared to this more calmer Sunni Muslims. And so the Sunnis are immediately reaching out. And I guarantee you the Saudi Crown Prince bin Salman is already been on the phone congratulating Trump. You're going to see a shift. Did you see Jared Kushner on stage last night? I'm not saying that he's going to be a part of this administration, but in his own business way and working the angles, there is going to be a push for peace in the Middle East. But first, there has to be a pushback against the aggressiveness of Iran and its proxies. Wow. What an amazing turn of events. I talk about the vortex of evil in my book, Revelation 9:11. We talk about what will happen if there's a Trump presidency again. And how does that line up to biblical prophecy? Oh, my Lord, you wouldn't believe it, the parallels. So we're going to continue. If you haven't got my book, it went number one. It's at Amazon.com. Just go find Revelation 9:11 at Amazon.com. Prophecy is playing out. I was on the Jim Baker show last night when I broke away from my own broadcast. We did 6 hours of broadcasting last night at my website. It's still there. You can go watch it if you want to. My sons, Paul Begley Jr. and BC Begley, Bart Begley, were my co-hosts, along with all the great guests we brought on. It's a great, great show. But I was on Jim Baker last night at about 10:45 p.m. Eastern, and they were, we still had the decision of who was going to win was still not done, and was almost about the same situation as it was in 2020. And Jim Baker and he had 9 guests on the panel there, and asked me what I thought. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you guys the information I'm getting, that the celebration's about ready to begin in Mar-a-Lago from the inside. I had contacts on the inside. And I said, I'm going to tell you something right now. Donald Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States. And I just broadcasted it, just spoke it out. And I said, and I'm prophesying to you, he is going to win this. And I've already been saying he was going to win. I've been saying that for about 2 years. He's going to win. But when I spoke that out last night on television, the entire audience just erupted in jubilation, I guess, is the exact words. But, of course, we didn't get clarification on that until in the wee hours of the morning. I was watching last night when Fox declared it about 2 a.m. And when I fell asleep about 5 a.m. this morning, MSNBC and CNN still had not conceded. I understand that. But now let's talk about what I really want to talk about is the bombing going on at Ben Gurion Airport in Israel. So will Israel respond immediately? Will they respond? Listen to this. At the same time that's going on, there is conversation on whether or not there's some that believe that Trump may bring peace to the Middle East. According to the Associated Press, while Israel is saying they need to go after Hezbollah and when they may have to go after Iran's nuclear facilities, the Associated Press has just come out with a report just breaking. Trump promises to bring lasting peace to the tumultuous Middle East, but fixing it won't be easy. According to the reports, Donald Trump will return to the U.S. presidency at a time of unprecedented conflict and uncertainty in the Middle East. He has vowed to fix it. But Trump's history of strong support for Israel, coupled with his insistence during the campaign that the war in Gaza should end quickly, the isolationist forces in the Republican Party and the unpredictability will raise a mountain of questions over how his second presidency will affect the region at this pivotal moment. Barring the achievement of an elusive ceasefire before his inauguration, Trump will ascend to the highest office in the world, in the country of the United States, as a brutal war in Gaza will still be raging, and Israel will be pressing an offensive against Hezbollah in Lebanon and that militant group. This conflagration between Iran and Israel shows no signs of abating, nor do Israel's conflicts with Iranian proxies in Iraq and in Yemen and in Syria. Iran's nuclear program remains a top concern also for Israel. So how is Trump going to bring peace to the Middle East? This is what the world is asking already. And throughout his campaign, Trump has vowed to bring peace to the region. Get it over with. Let's get back to peace. Stop killing people, he said. Trump said in the conflict in Gaza in an interview with a conservative radio host, Hugh Hewlett. That was back in April of this year. Israel's launched a war in response to Hamas's attack on October 7th, 2023, when the militants when Hamas, meaning violence, killed over 1,200 Israeli innocent civilians in Israel and kidnapped 250 others, many of which were Americans, and dozens were killed of the hostages. 101 hostages are still being held by Hamas. 39 of them are believed to be dead. The war in Gaza has cost the lives of 43,000 people, many of which are Hamas militants, but also civilians have died as well. The war has ignited a humanitarian catastrophe that's apparently developing in Gaza, and Israel is continuing to push forward even after killing all of the top leadership of both Hamas and Hezbollah because they can't get anyone to surrender and give back the hostages. How is Trump going to step into this and resolve this, in the next 77 days before he even gets into office? I don't think he can do it before he gets in office, okay? He says he can maybe end the war between Ukraine and Russia before he gets sworn into office. And so this is why I've started, along with Troy Anderson and Dr. Paul McGuire and Kevin Jessup and Dr. Larry Kefauver, we have started the 77 days to take America back. In other words, last night's victory was a battle that was won, but is not finished off the war. We have to completely get the President Trump in office. We need to see his hand on George Washington's Bible. We need to, and then there's 4 more years. And believe me, we're going to need to pray every step of the way because of the confrontations, because of the problems, because of the inflation, because of the migration, because of the wars and rumors of wars, because of the enemy within, because of many different, the energy crisis, the price of everything is sky high. I mean, there's so many things and so many factions, and then the war raging on in Europe and the war raging on in the Middle East. This is going to be if he can come in, if God is able to use Trump to come in and bring peace to Europe and peace to the Middle East and reduce the price of energy in half and bring down the prices of inflation and create jobs, if he's able to do that in these next 2 years, it is going to be one of the most remarkable things ever. And he can't do that by himself. This is way bigger than Donald Trump. Trump is not our savior. Jesus Christ is our savior. Trump is our president. But with enough help, enough energy, and if the media would just back off a little bit and kind of embrace the unity, this nation can move forward and the world can find some peace and the gospel of Jesus Christ can explode on the scene, explode. And folks, I'm going to tell you, my book, Revelation 9:11, we talk about Apollyon getting ready to be released, okay? We talk about that basically all of the chaos and the vortex of evil and the woke agenda and all the other AI dangers and the signs in the heavens and the alien deception and the many and Middle East and the enemies within and all of these things. But we also show you that in the midst of all of this convergence, that there is grace and that God is going to send the greatest revival in history. And that it's the end time revival. It's the Joel 2 revival that I've been preaching that was coming. I've been preaching this for 40 years, that the end time revival, because there will be a great falling away. There will be a great falling away just before the end comes. But also there will be a revival. And when Jesus said, when this gospel of the kingdom is preached into all the world for a witness unto all nations, then shall the end come. Now, I know we've got the 5 heifers in the stall right now. We've got the blueprints to build the 3rd temple ready to go. We've got the Cohen priest already working on their rituals and prayers. We've got the altars being built for the burning of the red heifer. I understand. We've got all of the menorah. We know where the Ark of the Covenant is, there in Jerusalem. So there is prophecy in process. I believe we're right now in Psalms 83, and I don't know if it's going to lead us right into Ezekiel 38, or we're going to have a peace agreement, a covenant with many may actually happen. And then the building of a 3rd temple before there's a war that's spoke about in Ezekiel 38, spoke about in Zechariah 14. That's what I'm saying. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And biblical scholars and eschatology experts will debate these things and have different theories, and it's okay. Because really, you have to just stay and watch. That's why Jesus said, watch and pray. For an hour you think not, the Son of Man will come. And what about the rapture? Just think about it. Pray that you be worthy to escape the hour of temptation. And you can see the beast kingdom trying to rise. You know that Lucifer is trying to rise. You know that the cabal, the globalist, the global elitist are cringing this morning because their plans have just been wrecked temporarily. But they will regroup, they will reorganize, and they will go to battle. We're talking about the beast. But will there be peace in the Middle East? I'm interviewing Jonathan Cahn tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a doubleheader. Jonathan Cahn, who wrote this book, The Dragon Prophecy, and Mike from around the world, a doubleheader tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Don't miss that. Saturday was silent, and surely it was through. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? And Friday's disappointment is Sunday's empty tomb. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of a dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Pentecostal fire, stirring something new. You're not gonna run out of miracles anytime soon. I've got one more announcement for you. One more announcement. Runs in my veins too. I believe there's another miracle here in this room. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Somebody shout, are you serious? Carlos, we see you. You're not timed out. Just stay calm. My God is able to save and deliver and heal and restore anything that he wants to. Just ask the man who was thrown on the bones of Elisha if there's anything that he can do. Just ask the stone that was rolled at the tomb in the garden what happens when God says to move. I feel faith rising. I feel him moving it now. I feel him doing it now. I feel him doing it now. Do it now. Do it now. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Oh, come on, somebody sing it. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus saith the Lord God, behold, my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up from your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Then you shall know that I am the Lord, and I will put my spirit in you, and I will place you in your own land, and you shall live. I will place you in your own land. You shall live, 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 live. I got one more breaking news information. From the Middle East. That's right. All right. So we've been talking about that Hezbollah fired rockets right at the Ben Gurion airport there in Tel Aviv, just exploding just outside of it, just barely short of it. And there's a call for Israel to respond. Some of Israel's leaders are calling on Netanyahu to go ahead and just blow up the Beirut airport. Now, I'm hoping he doesn't do that, okay? Hoping he doesn't do that. Meanwhile, there's already questions that there's celebration going on in Israel that Trump won the election in America, and they're hoping he will stand with Israel and defeat the proxies and Iran, okay? But at the same time, there's also others in the Middle East saying there's hope. Maybe Trump could bring peace to the Middle East, okay? Well, you have to understand, though, just before the election last night, Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, fired the very popular defense minister, Yoav Gallant, his defense minister. He fired him, sparking a protest that exploded all over Israel last night. And while we were watching the election returns, there was chaos in the streets, so much so that Benjamin Netanyahu had to be ushered away, had to be put in a car and drove away from the mobs for fear there in his house in Jerusalem. So some say that the move of firing Defense Minister Yoav Gallant could endanger the country's security as Israel continues to fight both Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. After Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced the dismissal of his popular defense minister, thousands of Israelis took to the streets, blocking the roads, including the main highway between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem that I've traveled that many, many times, setting fires on tires. Police had to use force to break up the protest and arrest dozens of Israeli citizens. Netanyahu said he fired Gallant because he no longer trusted him. This is huge. He fired him because he no longer trusted him. And you got to wonder, what does that mean? What does that mean? So Netanyahu said full trust is required between the prime minister and the defense minister, especially in the midst of a war. And while such trust existed at first, it has since cracked. An emotional Gallant said he disagreed with Netanyahu on several issues, including the need to draft ultra-Orthodox Jewish men, which is sharply opposed by key parties in Netanyahu's coalition government. Now, Gallant said he believed everyone of conscription age must serve in the Israeli Defense Forces and defend the state of Israel. So he planned to vote against this proposed law to permanently exempt ultra-Orthodox men from army service. Netanyahu's coalition partners have vowed to bring down the government unless the law passes. So they're fighting a war. You have to understand what's going on here. There's a war going on. Israel was attacked. People were butchered. And so the army has to rise up and fight against Hamas, and then has to go in and do urban combat. And then they're attacked by Hezbollah from Lebanon, and they got to bomb that, push them back, and then go in with the tanks to shove them back away. And these are dangerous special ops, and soldiers are being killed. But the ultra-Orthodox men who study for the priesthood and to be rabbis are exempt from being drafted into the army, because everyone has to serve in the Israeli army. When you turn 18, you got to go do 3 years, boys or girls. I think boys got to do 3 years, 36 months, and girls, I think, do 27 months. But so you got all these kids going to war, but the ultra-Orthodox kids are exempt. And so in Netanyahu's coalition government he has, they're saying, guys, we're putting our sons and daughters on the line. We all got to do this, not just some of us. We all got to do this. And so Netanyahu is saying, they got a point here, guys. It's time to also serve. Everybody serve their, and I have to agree with it, really. But, I understand this is a religious thing. The Jewish, or especially the ultra-Orthodox Jews, don't see that as their responsibility, okay, under the law of Moses. And although King David and many, look, Israel had to fight for 40 years. when they got into, after getting 40 years in the wilderness, they come across the Jordan River and they run right into the city of Jericho, and then they immediately have to start fighting all these different giants and tribes. So you have to understand, this is an emotional thing. So, but if Netanyahu doesn't get this passed, some of his government will fall apart. And if he does get it passed, he may still have a government that falls apart. And he felt that Israel's defense minister Gallant was standing in the way. Now, some Israeli analysts said that Netanyahu fired Gallant in an effort to preserve his coalition government and stay in power. Well, maybe so. He's in a war. He's got to stay in power. You don't want to be changing the prime minister now after he's brought them through and still fighting a war. Obviously. But some Israelis say this, and the leaders of Israel's opposition parties responded harshly to Benjamin Netanyahu's move, with opposition leader Yair Lapid, and he's weak. He's a lefty, progressive, and he was prime minister for 6 months there. Thank God Netanyahu got put in just before the attack on Israel on October 7th. We sure wouldn't want Yair Lapid. He'd give away half the country. Anyway, Yair Lapid is calling it an act of insanity by Netanyahu, by an incompetent prime minister. Israeli analysts say the dismissal of Gallant could make it harder for Israel to meet its goals on both fronts of its current war, Lebanon and Gaza. But Dr. Ephraim Schnei, a former senior general, said Gallant's replacement, Israel Katz, has no military experience. It's a time of war, one of the most complicated wars in several arenas, with a lot of complexities. In the middle of a war, the political person, the ministerial authority above the IDF, someone with obviously no experience. But Netanyahu tried to fire Gallant a year and a half ago before the war even started because he said he didn't trust him. Now this time he's changed his mind and he has decided, I got to get rid of him now. And I don't know what broke the trust. Look, I don't know. But all I'm saying is this. What a turbulent time for this to happen the eve or the same night that Trump was being elected. And how does this all work in the big picture in prophecy? Wow. Are you serious? Now, guys, let me tell you something. I'm going to be back here in 2 hours at 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, I'm going to be interviewing again the Fab Four: Troy Anderson, Dr. Larry Keefe Favre, Dr. Paul McGuire, and Kevin Jessup. Because as I interviewed them on Sunday, that we were starting the 77 days to take America back, and that was predicated on that Trump would win the election through prayer, and Trump did. Now we start the 77 days before he's inaugurated, and that spiritual warfare will be going on. And so I'm going to bring these guys back this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Okay. So it'll be right here on YouTube. Don't miss it. And then tonight I'll be co-hosting tonight's show with Pastor Melvin Weddington over at ffctv.church. That's www.ffctv.church. I'll be with Pastor Melvin. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern at ffctv.church. So you don't want to miss that, because I guarantee you Melvin is going to be in a good mood. All right? Melvin's going to be in a good mood. Okay, and it's going to be and he's researching right now, scouring the earth of probably the reaction and other things that are happening, and how is this prophetically tied together. And then tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, I'll be interviewing Jonathan Cahn, the author of the Shemitah, the author of The Harbinger and Harbinger 2, the author of this new book, The Dragon's Prophecy. And it is, I've been reading it. It is an incredible book. This might be the best one he's ever written. I'm serious. And for such a time as this. So that'll be Thursday night, a doubleheader. I'll be interviewing Jonathan Cahn and Mike from around the world. Doubleheader, don't miss it. Starts at 9 o'clock. Jonathan Cahn's going to come on right after I get started. So I'm going to be interviewing him for about an hour, and then Mike from around the world for about an hour. So it's going to be a powerful doubleheader. That's Thursday night, okay? So, and don't forget, thank you, Miss ED. Don't forget the webinar, Spiritual Warfare. Spiritual Warfare. You can get your tickets. Go to my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com. You can get your tickets there. You can go to Eventbrite and get your tickets. Okay. I'm just telling you. You definitely want to this is going to be an incredible spiritual warfare. Dr. Larry Shelby that I interviewed last night, he'll be speaking. Bishop Larry Ragland, Sheila Glidden, who's just incredible in spiritual warfare, and a bunch more. I won't name them till Heidi locks them all down, but some big names on spiritual warfare. So get ready for that one. That's the last webinar of the year. It's December the 6th. Yes, Jonathan Cahn Thursday night. But tonight I'll be with Melvin Whittington at 7 o'clock on Getting Ready. But I'll be back here at 4 o'clock to interview the Fab Four right here on the Coming Apocalypse. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Wow. I feel like we went to another level. I think it's because God is trying to set the captives completely free. You can be saved. You better get in now. This is the stretch run for the coming of Jesus Christ. I'll be back.